All right, let's talk about the final, most high-stakes phase of any move to the cloud, the cutover. This is it. This is that one moment where all the planning, all the technical work for your GCP migration gets put to the ultimate test. It's really where success or failure is decided. I mean, think about it. You've spent months, maybe even years, getting everything just right. The architecture is beautiful, the data's all synced up, everything is, technically good to go. But that last 1%, the actual flip of the switch, that's where so many migrations fall apart. So I have to ask, are you really ready?
So here's how we're going to walk through that final mile. First, we'll pinpoint the biggest hurdle that trips most teams up. Then we'll get into what it means to be truly ready by running through a full cutover rehearsal. We'll also look at what happens after you go live, and then we'll wrap it all up with a super practical checklist to make sure your migration is a huge success.
Okay, let's dive right into that first hurdle. We spend so much of our time and energy focusing on the technology, right? Getting the VMs provisioned, configuring the networks, moving all that data. But a truly successful migration, well, it actually hinges on something else entirely, being operationally ready for the switch.
And that's the big secret. Success isn't just about flipping a switch and hoping for the best. It's all about your team's ability to operate this new system, especially under pressure. So to make this feel real, we're going to follow a team as they rehearse their cutover, and we're going to focus completely on their process and their preparedness.
So before you can even think about that go-live weekend, your team needs to have mastered 4 essential things. Think of these as the pillars that support a confident, low-stress migration. Let's break them down.
First up, monitoring. And this one's a classic for a reason. You absolutely cannot manage what you can't see. Before that cutover, you need total visibility into the health of your application in GCP. And I'm not just talking about basic CPU and memory stats. I mean the deep application-level metrics, like transaction times or error rates, that actually tell you if your users are having a good experience. Next up, we've got service-level objectives, or SLOs. This is how you stop guessing if things are okay and you start knowing. SLOs are basically the data-driven answer to that simple question, is our service reliable enough for our users? They're your internal targets, and they're defined in really clear, measurable terms, like 99.9% uptime or, say, sub 200 millisecond latency.
Okay, this is where the mindset really has to shift. Because look, things are going to break. It's inevitable. The goal isn't to prevent every single tiny failure. The goal is to have a calm, well-rehearsed, and super effective response plan for when they do. Who gets the alert? What's the comms plan? Who do you escalate to? This all needs to be figured out and practiced way ahead of time. And the final pillar is disaster recovery testing. This really highlights the difference between hope and a plan. A DR document just sitting on a shared drive somewhere, that's not a plan, that's a theory. But actually testing it, actively failing over to another region and restoring from your backups, that's what turns a theory into a proven capability that your business can actually rely on when things go really, really wrong.
Okay, so with those 4 pillars solidly in place, our team is finally ready for the main event, a full-scale simulated cutover weekend. Now, this isn't just some simple test. This is a full dress rehearsal for the real thing, and it's designed to expose every single weakness in the plan. So here's how the rehearsal weekend plays out. It all kicks off Friday evening with that final go/no-go call. Then the real work begins. Freezing the old system, syncing the last bits of data, and then executing the technical cutover to GCP on Saturday morning. By the afternoon, they're validating everything. But the most important part of this whole weekend, well, that happens on Sunday morning.
So I want you to picture this. It's Saturday afternoon. The team has just nailed the cutover. It was flawless. All the monitoring dashboards are lighting up green. Every validation script they run comes back perfect. By all technical measures, the migration is a total success. You can just feel the sense of relief in the virtual war room. But this is exactly where the real test begins. See, a smooth cutover is fantastic, but true confidence comes from knowing you can handle a crisis. The team isn't here just to see if it works. They're here to find out what happens when it breaks.
And so, Sunday morning, the test lead does something that probably feels totally wrong. They intentionally break the brand new system. They take a critical database offline, or maybe they sever a key network path. The point is, they don't wait for failure to find them. They go out and create it on their own terms. And right here is where all that rehearsal pays off big time. There's no panic, no one's running around trying to figure out what to do. The team just calmly declares an incident and executes the rollback plan they've already practiced. They activate the communication plan to let all the stakeholders know what's happening. And within their target time, they verify that the original system is back online and working perfectly. They just turned a potential disaster into a controlled, successful procedure. Now, after a successful rehearsal and then the real go live, you might think the work is done, but it's far from over. In fact, the weeks immediately after the migration are just as critical as the cutover itself. This is what we call the stabilization or hypercare period. During this phase, the team's entire focus has to shift. It's no longer about building, it's about stabilizing. It's all about making sure the user experience is smooth. That means having extra support staff ready, watching those SLOs like a hawk, and having a process to immediately jump on any user feedback or bugs. It's so tempting to move on to shiny new features. But right now, building stability and user trust, that's the only priority that matters. Okay, let's pull all of this together into an actionable playbook. This is your go-to checklist to make sure you've covered all the critical non-technical parts of your migration. Let's tie this all together. So before the cutover, you've got to validate those 4 pillars of readiness we talked about. And just like our team in the story, you have to execute a full rehearsal that includes a rollback. Then, during the cutover, communication is everything. That practice plan makes sure no one's left in the dark. And finally, after you go live, the team absolutely must be prepared for that intense period of hypercare to lock in that long-term success.
This quote just nails it. Having a 100-page migration document is fine, but the real value, the magic, it comes from the process of planning, of debating, and especially of rehearsing. That's what builds the team's muscle memory and the confidence to handle absolutely anything that comes their way.
So, as you go back and think about your own projects, ask yourself this question. Looking at your migration plan right now, what is the one area, that one process, that one failure scenario that your team needs to rehearse just one more time to be truly ready for that final mile?